Selective adoption is the term used to describe PeopleSoft's new application lifecycle process. It's not a tool or utility. There is a primary tool, PeopleSoft Update Manager or PUM, that makes it work. But selective adoption is new and it's used with the 9.2 PeopleSoft product line and the 9.1 Interactive Hub, where maintenance and new features are delivered throughout the year in PeopleSoft Update images. The images are downloaded to your site, and you search through them and choose only the maintenance and features that you want to deploy to your system. It's very different than the old maintenance process that featured sequential bundles, followed by costly upgrades every several years. To get the most out of selective adoption, you first need to understand what selective adoption is and what went into building it. There are reasons behind everything we did, and the reasons might not be exactly what you expect, but once you understand them, you want to put a plan in place for your organization that gives you the most benefit based on your needs. The question is, how do you go about doing that? And more important, what's included in the plan? I'll go through some of the steps and changes that you'll want to think about, but in the end, you'll determine what's right for you. Remember, selective adoption is an entirely different way of approaching maintenance and updates, one that you should prepare for so you're not left behind. I'm going to be covering these major topics. First, understanding what selective adoption is and the benefits it entails. And second, what you can do to build a proactive organization plan that helps you get the most out of selective adoption. And finally, we'll look at additional resources that are available. First off, I want to make sure you have a solid understanding of selective adoption. These are the collective goals that PeopleSoft set out to accomplish and actually have accomplished with selective adoption. I'll go through each and talk about the importance of each one. The first is that PeopleSoft incrementally delivers new enhancements. This is one of the most important objectives of the new delivery model. Before selective adoption, the only way PeopleSoft delivered new features, functionality, and enhancements was in a major application release. These releases were built over a span of several years, and while they were built, there were no product enhancements released to customers, only maintenance. When a new release was made available, you had to choose: stay on the application where you are, or go through a very expensive upgrade project to get the new features. You can see that there are two big problems with that model. First, new features were not delivered in the product for long periods, sometimes several years. And second, when changes were available, it took a major project for you to get them. So the first objective for selective adoption is to deliver features to you more quickly and more often. PeopleSoft accomplishes this by changing the way new features are delivered. Now features are delivered on an ongoing basis several times a year. The time it takes for PeopleSoft to build and deliver a feature to the time you can have it up and running has gone from what used to be measured in years, sometimes several years, to what now is just a matter of weeks. The second goal is to eliminate major upgrades. That doesn't mean that PeopleSoft is going to stop enhancing the product line. It means that now the product is delivered in a way that new enhancements and features are rolled out on a regular basis. There are no more major releases, and therefore you will not have to go through a major upgrade. The days of waiting and planning for major upgrades are over. They've been replaced by small, manageable change. I'm not going to say that there's no ongoing cost to taking upgrades, but the cost model has shifted. Instead of planning and approving a very expensive upgrade every 3 to 5 years, the cost of continuing to take change should now be accounted for on a regular basis, one that's easier to plan for and get approved. The next two major goals are to let you take only what you want and take changes when you want. These two go together. Take what you want when you want it. And this applies to both new features and ongoing maintenance. If you just look at maintenance, it's evident that different bug fixes delivered by PeopleSoft have different priorities. Some fixes are critical and are high priority. Other fixes are optional and have low priority. Some fixes are to heavily customized areas of the product, so they can be difficult and disruptive and maybe not necessary to take. Others are to less commonly used components and could be applied very easily. There are a lot of ways to prioritize maintenance. It's safe to say all bugs are not created equal. And now with selective adoption, they don't have to be treated as though they are. Your system administrator doesn't have to apply them sequentially. They can choose only the ones that they want to apply and can do so when the business is ready and has planned for it, not on Oracle's schedule. The same thing applies to new features and enhancements. Sometimes new features will be delivered that your organization has been waiting for and will rush to implement. Sometimes new features can replace customizations and allow you to simplify your system. Others your organization will pass on as low priority. It's now up to your business analyst to review new content and decide what to take and when to take it. And all of this is done while retaining strategic customizations. A system without the ability to customize is very limited. We know that. On the other hand, customizations can be costly to make and maintain. In addition, they add to the complexity and cost of maintenance. There's no question that the level of customization you have impacts your ability to take change, both with maintenance and new features. A balance between the two must be met. Your business should determine the business value of each potential customization and weigh it against the cost of implementation and future maintenance. It's not easy to do, and there may be trade-offs, but the ability to make and retain customizations with the maintenance process is a value that PeopleSoft will continue to provide. So in summary, selective adoption changes the way you and PeopleSoft approach both ongoing maintenance and the adoption of new features or enhancements. On the maintenance side, both before selective adoption and now, maintenance is frequent. I think that's just the nature of maintenance. With selective adoption, you have the added benefit of taking only the maintenance that you want and determining your own stay current strategy. With respect to new enhancements or features, there is a dramatic shift with selective adoption. The old model would make you wait several years for new releases and go through an expensive, costly upgrade to get them. Now features are available on a regular basis, just like maintenance. Take them on your schedule as frequently or infrequently as you would like. Now I'm going to talk about the importance of having a proactive organization plan. So we've talked about how selective adoption changes the way that PeopleSoft delivers maintenance and new features. Now the question is, are you ready for this? We find that organizations will either be proactive or reactive. Proactive organizations will embrace the change that is selective adoption and are busy thinking about what they can do to line their business processes up with what PeopleSoft delivers. They know that they have the opportunity to rethink the way that they've approached maintenance, and they also know that there is no future big massive upgrade several years out, so they're rethinking the way that they have to take new features. They know that this changes every aspect of the software process, in planning, in analysis, in implementation, and in rollout. Proactive organizations are putting plans together that let them take full advantage of selective adoption. Reactive organizations will see what PeopleSoft did and think, well, why'd they do that? Things have been so nice for so long, or we've been doing the same thing for so long, why do we need to change? Reactive organizations are looking at this and not changing their processes, and they're missing out on the benefits that it brings. Let's talk about your plan. What is your plan? What's in it, and what's the purpose of it? Well, let's start with the purpose. The purpose of your plan is simple. It's to align your processes with selective adoption to improve the functionality of your business systems, while at the same time you decrease the overall cost of maintenance. What should your plan cover? It should cover every aspect of your organization that's involved with your applications. It should cover different roles and responsibilities, and it should cover different points in the life cycle of your products. Now, the parts of the plan that I'll cover today include changing your mindset, creating an annual schedule, staying current on people tools, automating your testing, and rolling out incremental change. In order to be successful with selective adoption, the first thing to do as part of a plan is change the mindset about your business applications. The old model is gone. Upgrades are gone. The new model is incremental change to benefit the business. So how can your mindset change? Here are some ways. The old mindset is to let the business drive the software. Massive customizations are made to get the product to work the way the business does. Little time is spent evaluating the cost of the customizations, the impact that they will have to maintenance, and if in fact the process is efficient. The new mindset is to stop, learn, understand, evaluate, and use the delivered process as the starting point. The cost savings to an organization can be staggering. Following along the same theme, the old mindset is that customizations are readily available. Again, the greatest long-term cost to the life cycle of a product is the amount of customization that it has. The new mindset is that customization is disciplined. They're disciplined by weighing the lifetime cost of the customization against the value to the business. If the business value is higher than the cost of making and maintaining the customization, then go ahead and do it. The long-term cost of the customization is more expensive than the business value. Then be disciplined and hold off and either alter internal processes to adjust to the system or wait for new features to be delivered. If this truly is product value, there's a chance PeopleSoft will add it in later versions. The old mindset is to defer maintenance. Just keep the system running and don't do anything to disrupt it. That's the old way of thinking. You could get by when you knew that down the road 3, 4, or 5 years from now, there was a major upgrade to right the ship and get it current. Now that way of thinking doesn't work. The new mindset is keep the application clean and up to date. If maintenance is deferred, your system will not be in a state to easily take critical fixes and new enhancements when you need them. The longer maintenance is deferred, the more difficult it is to maintain. The old mindset is to optimize individual transactions. Make them work as well as you can one at a time. Now the new mindset is to focus on the system. How well are the system and the business aligned? That's where the real optimization points are, not in the individual transactions. And finally, the old mindset is that once you get a system into production, leave it alone and don't touch it. Keep it as static as possible until the next major upgrade comes around. The new mindset is that the system is always in a state where change can happen. New features, new processes, new fixes can go into the system, and the business is ready to adopt them. Mindset changes are never easy. It's never easy to tell a user that the system has changed or a process has changed when they're set in their ways. You always have to weigh the cost against the alternative. Have the conversations with the organization, business users, analysts, executives about how the new mindset can lead to greater efficiencies and lower costs. Selective adoption changes so many things. Your approach to maintenance, no more upgrades, how you view the business application, how you view customizations. Your projects are different and the funding for them will have to be different. Justify that by saying that the cost of upgrades is now to be distributed out annually to fund projects that are continuously updating the system. Roles and responsibilities have changed. Never before has a business analyst had to look at the maintenance delivered by PeopleSoft to see if there is a new feature that can benefit the organization. Never before have business analysts or IT ever had to analyze maintenance to see if there are features delivered that can replace customizations to simplify the system. Never before has anyone had to search through the maintenance log and decide which incidents should be applied and which are simply not necessary this time. Now, these are all part of regular maintenance. Work with everyone across the organization to understand that running PeopleSoft will require change across the organization, change that requires starting with a new mindset. Your schedule is the foundation of the plan, and it must cover strategies for maintenance and new enhancements. On the maintenance side, scheduling has changed. Time needs to be allocated for applying critical fixes, staying current with legislative and regulatory changes, and also the other side of maintenance, that is keeping the system in an agile state. That means keeping current with maintenance so additional maintenance and applying enhancements can be done with as little disruption as possible. If you adopt a strategy that does not allow you to regularly stay current with maintenance, the longer you go, the more difficult it will be to apply critical fixes and features because of dependency requirements will get too large. With the enhancements, you will want to stay up to date on PeopleSoft's plans that will be delivered in the product. Evaluate changes that are delivered in the latest update images, and properly evaluate the business value of adopting the features against the cost of rolling them out. So what does a typical schedule look like? This is an example of putting a proactive schedule in place. Minor releases are scheduled for maintenance. They are small, short, focused, and limited in scope. They are in place to allow the business to respond to critical incidents and critical user requests. They are windows of opportunity for selective adoption. Take only changes that you want, be selective, and discreet with the changes that are made. Work with the latest update image to take only changes that are important to your environment. Minor releases are scheduled throughout the year because PeopleSoft delivers new images on a regular basis. You could almost think of them as being a minor release to take critical changes from each PeopleSoft update image. Major releases should be planned and scheduled. Think of these releases as replacing the large upgrade processes that you used to go through every several years. Instead of a big project all at one time, they are smaller, ongoing projects that account for several things. These are the times in your schedule where you want to do new enhancements, add or remove customizations, catch up on maintenance by getting current on parts of your product. These projects run several months and cover both maintenance and new features. Of course, you don't have to plan schedules like this. This is just an example of how maintenance and new features are accounted for over the course of a year. PeopleTools maintenance is different than application maintenance. Understanding PeopleTools maintenance and support is important for you for planning purposes. One of the things you need to know is that you might be required to be on a supported version of PeopleTools to apply maintenance to your system. That's important, so let me reiterate it a different way. If your system is not on a supported version of PeopleTools, you might not be able to apply bug fixes, legislative changes, and anything else such as features that are delivered in a PeopleSoft update image. The takeaway from that is that part of your plan should be to adopt a tool's maintenance schedule that assures that you are always on a supported version. What do we mean by supported version? A quick review of the PeopleTools support policy is that a version of PeopleTools is supported for 12 months after the next version is released, and then an additional 12 months for critical errors. That's known as the next release plus 12 plus 12. For example, 854 was released in July 2014. That means PeopleTools 853 will be fully supported until July 2015, that's the first plus 12, and then critical fixes like security vulnerabilities for an additional 12 months. That's July 2016. After July 2016, 853 is no longer supported. So if your application is running on PeopleTools 853 after July 2016, you might not be able to apply maintenance from a PeopleSoft update image. Assuming that PeopleSoft releases a new PeopleTools version every 12 to 18 months, that means the window of life for any version is about 36 months to 42 months, or 3 to 3.5 years. We strongly recommend that you devise a PeopleTools update strategy to make sure you are always on a current supported version of PeopleTools. Since the windows are approximately 3 years, that would mean an upgrade at regular intervals. One example of a stay on a current version strategy is for every second year, take the most recent tools version that's available. That way, regardless of the timing, you will always have the plus 12 month support and plus 12 extended support for 2 years of support for the version you take. That gives you 2 years to run the version you are on now prior to the next upgrade. Of course, I need to add that PeopleSoft will always recommend that you get onto and stay on the most current version of PeopleTools. By staying on a supported version, it will ensure that you don't have any sudden surprises where one day you find you can't apply maintenance until you do a PeopleTools only upgrade. Now, once a tools version is out of maintenance, the application will still run on it. I think that goes without saying. So this is something that you must prepare and plan for. Tools patches are another thing. Let's talk about those. PeopleTools patches come out on a regular basis, and just like we recommend being on the most current release, we recommend running on the most current patch. They often have critical fixes that should be applied to your system. While it's not necessary to stay current with patches, it might be necessary to be on a patch level in order to apply an application fix. Every bug or feature in a PeopleSoft update image has a minimum tools release that is required in order for it to be applied. Does that mean that every time you download a PeopleSoft update image and go to apply maintenance, you first have to apply a PeopleTools patch? Well, not exactly, but this is what you should be aware of. First, every bug or feature delivered by PeopleSoft has a minimum tools release. The minimum release includes the major release, that's the 854, 855, and so on, and also has the patch level. If the target environment or your environment is not on or above the minimum tools release for a given bug, it cannot be applied to the system. It is possible for an application team to deliver a critical fix that is dependent on a tools patch release. That means in order to apply the critical fix, you must be on or above a certain PeopleTools patch level. That doesn't mean you can't take any maintenance. It means you can't take the fixes that are impacted by the minimum release level. There are a couple of places you can go to find the minimum PeopleTools version for a bug or a feature. Every image is delivered with a spreadsheet that lists the updates that are included with the image. On that spreadsheet is a column that has the minimum PeopleTools release. If you don't have that spreadsheet handy, you can always find that information on the cumulative feature overview. I'll describe that and show you where to find it later on in this Spotlight session. Also check the PeopleSoft Update Manager homepage as well. If there is critical information about PeopleTools patches that impacts how maintenance is applied, there will be a message posted. The guideline that PeopleSoft is following is for no application to release a critical fix that is dependent on a tools patch that has been out for less than 9 to 12 months. So I'll say that again. Any critical fix should not be dependent on a patch that has been out for less than 9 to 12 months. Those are the guidelines that we're striving for. At some time, there might be an exception, but let's hope not. What does that mean in terms of PeopleTools maintenance and planning? That means every customer should get current on patches at least once a year. Maybe a little more often, but if you take the current tools patch at least once a year, you should be able to take all critical fixes in your environment. If you asked anyone what the biggest part of any maintenance or update project is, they'll tell you it's testing. I've had customers tell me that as much as 80% of an entire project time can be spent testing. Business applications are complex because business processes are complex. The more complicated the process, the more difficult it is to maintain and test. Most testing today is done by hand. Testing by hand is done by developers, business analysts, users, and dedicated testers. While this can be effective, it's certainly not the most efficient. It takes time to automate tests. The simple fact that there is more work to do to automate a test than to just run a test makes it clear that there must be an investment to adopt automation. The first step to automation is selecting a test automation tool. PeopleSoft delivers free with all of its products PeopleSoft Test Framework. It's a testing automation tool that's tightly integrated to PeopleSoft applications and technology. While you certainly can use other automated testing tools, there are built-in advantages to using PeopleSoft Test Framework. A good place to start your testing automation is with mature products that are stable as opposed to products that have a lot of new development. Starting with mature products lets you build a stable test base that does not have to be constantly maintained with ongoing development and new features. These tests can run when maintenance is applied to ensure regressions haven't damaged the system. It's good practice to have functional users design the tests, and since there is a small degree of programming, at least with PeopleSoft Test Framework, have technical users build the tests. Any good testing automation strategy will have in place a strict, thorough documentation policy. Building repeatable, portable tests is important, and that's where PTF can really help. PTF tests are stored as managed objects in PeopleSoft databases and are migrated between different PeopleSoft environments the same way all PeopleTools data is migrated with projects. Some other portable features that PTF offers are page prompting. With page prompting, the test can be recorded using standard PeopleSoft menus to access the page, but when played back, the system will open the page directly without navigating through the menu system. This way, different PeopleSoft systems with different menus or different user accounts can run the same test without upfront errors. Scroll prompting is another nice feature with PTF. It lets the person building the test capture the test by key or identifier as opposed to an index in a list. If the list changes for some reason, the playback of the test will still work. An automated test strategy is even more important with selective adoption because your systems are more agile. Since there are no more upgrades, new features will be added on an ongoing basis. Being able to cut down the overall time it takes to regression test a system will greatly benefit adoption of new features. Since in the past, PeopleSoft did not deliver new features with maintenance, there was very little need to have business analysts evaluate the benefit of a bundle on the business. Maintenance was the responsibility of the back office IT staff. They got bug fixes and legislative changes from PeopleSoft, but most of the work analysts did was on customization requests and evaluating upgrades. Now things have changed. Business analysts must play a much more active role. PeopleSoft delivers new features throughout the year in the update images, along with maintenance. While the IT staff can look at and evaluate the benefits of applying the fixes, the analyst has the responsibility of determining the business value to the organization. Once the value is determined, the analyst and IT must work together to determine when the feature will be adopted. These are roles and responsibilities that have never been required before. Business analysts will have to look at new features and evaluate them in a number of different ways. What is the business value to the organization? What is the cost of rolling out the change to the user community? Will there be training? How does the feature compare to the list of user requests? Is the feature something that has already been implemented by a customization? On the other side, the IT staff must evaluate the change as well. What is the cost of implementing? Will this go into a product area that is current on maintenance, or is it behind on maintenance, which means more dependencies? Will this change be in an area that's heavily customized? Is the change in an area that has automated test scripts available? All of these were never done before, at least for new features. Now there are two distinct teams that are looking at and reviewing features on a regular basis. These are new roles. This is a new business process. This is something that your organization must plan and prepare for. Remember, there's no major update lurking in the distant future for all the features to collect and get applied as part of a massive project. Now there are two ways for the business analyst to keep up with what's going on with PeopleSoft. The first is the PeopleSoft Plan Features and Enhancement page on My Oracle Support. It's document number 1966243.2. An easy way to get to the page is from the PeopleSoft information portal, www.peoplesoftinfo.com. From the information portal, choose any application and then select the New Feature Info tab. This tab gives you links to all the information about new product features like video feature overviews, release value proposition, pre-release notes, and more. On this page, you'll find a link to the PeopleSoft Plan Features and Enhancements. Select the link and you'll be taken to the page. You might be prompted for your Oracle support user and password, so be ready for that. Once on the page, take some time to review the value proposition of Selective Adoption and other relevant information on the Plan Features and Enhancement homepage. From there, choose the tab for the application you're interested in. Each product area and People Tools has a Plan Feature and Enhancement homepage. Take time to read the important information in the homepage for the product you're interested in. In this case, I've selected the HCM tab. You can drill into the features by selecting the product area in the upper left. Listed are all the new product features and enhancements for this product area that are currently under development or being reviewed by PeopleSoft. Selecting one of the items reveals the details about them. This is a great tool that can be used by your business analysts and IT to keep up with what PeopleSoft is thinking about and what they're working for future releases. Again, there are no specific dates given for these items. These are the features that are under consideration. The second tool is the Cumulative Feature Overview, or CFO. The CFO has been around for quite a while, but if you haven't seen it lately, you'll be excited to see the new features. The CFO is used to do a fit gap analysis for PeopleSoft applications. It lets you quickly understand major changes that have occurred across multiple releases for any given product or tools. Just like the Plan Features and Enhancements, you can now access the CFO directly from the PeopleSoft information portal. Navigate to the portal, select an application, and choose the New Feature tab. From here, you can select the Cumulative Feature Overview tool link. Across the top, you will again see the different product lines as well as People Tools. Select the product line you are interested in, and the available products list will change with all the products in the product line. Select one or more products and choose the arrow to move it to the Selected Products box. You may also select the double arrow to include all products. When you are finished selecting products, choose the current release and target release. Notice in the pull-down, when 9.2 releases start, they are identified by update image number. If I select a start point of Pi 8 and an end point of Pi 12, the report will show all of the features added to the selected products between Pi 8 and Pi 12. This is the generated report. There's quite a bit of useful information on this report. Moving from left to right, you see that there is a product area, a description of the feature, the PeopleSoft application version that the feature was included in, The minimum tools version, that's the tools release and patch level that your system must be running in order to apply this feature. You'll see some of them require 8.5.3 and some require new technology that's only available in 8.5.4. The bug ID is the ID of the feature in PeopleSoft Update Manager PIA application. You can use that number to do a search and select in PUM to add this feature to a change package that can be applied to your system. And finally, there are quick links to both documentation and video feature overviews. That lets you get more information by reading about the feature in doc or watching a short video on the feature if it's available. Finally, the contents of the cumulative feature overview can be exported to Excel for your convenience. Use the CFO tool to help you manage the fit gap between your applications and the new features delivered by PeopleSoft. It's the proactive organization that recognizes change, changes mindsets, and prepares a plan to take the most advantage of selective adoption. Having a plan that allows you to maintain and add new features on an ongoing basis is the first place to start. The lifecycle process is different. It's different in the way it's been in the past, but now it offers so many more opportunities. There are a number of key resources that you can refer to help you move to selective adoption. There's a white paper available on My Oracle Support that describes the value of selective adoption. The documentation for the selective adoption is found in the PeopleTools 8.5.4 online help under Change Assistant and the Update Manager. Consult the Update Manager or PUM homepage. This is the central location for all things related to PeopleSoft Update Manager and PeopleSoft Update Images. Here you can find information about selective adoption, update image homepages, troubleshooting links, best practice, and more. There's also a 3-part series on getting started with your PeopleSoft update out on the Oracle Learning Library that you can listen to at any time. The PeopleSoft Lifecycle Management Release 8.5.3 training will teach you to manage customizations, apply application updates, and upgrade a PeopleSoft application. You'll use the necessary tools to accomplish these tasks, including Application Designer's upgrade features, Data Mover, Data Migration Workbench or Application Datasets, and Change Assistant. The PeopleSoft Update Manager training covers all the tasks required to set up and use PeopleSoft Update Manager methodology for applying update maintenance to your 9.2 applications and the PUM-enabled 9.1 Interaction Hub. You'll learn how to perform each task from installing the Oracle VirtualBox to applying the updates to all your PeopleSoft environments, as well as upgrading PeopleTools and applying PeopleTools patches. The Lifecycle Maintenance and PeopleSoft Update Manager Accelerated Release 8.5.4 combines the 6 days of training from the Lifecycle Management course and the PeopleSoft Update Manager course into 5 days.